Welcome to another episode of the Healthy and High Performing podcast, where we help entrepreneurs and executives unlock increasing access to their best selves, level up their leadership, scale productivity and profitability, while restoring energy and vitality to their work and life. In just 15 or 20 minutes and 5 powerful questions will get you there. My guest today is Marcel Schwantes. Marcel is a speaker, executive coach, author, and global thought leader. His 2025 book, Humane Leadership, Lead with Radical Love, Be a Kick-Ass Boss, offers a revolutionary framework for leaders to flourish on the job. Welcome, Marcel.
Good to be here. Thank you, Timothy.
So, who is your book, besides the obvious stated audience, who would you say, kind of in conversational terms, who is your book for, Humane Leadership? And what's the biggest challenge or two that they're facing? Sure, there are a lot.
Yeah, that's a good start. Definitely the decision maker at the top of the hierarchy. So I would say anyone that, whether you're the CEO or the chief HR officer, or maybe even a VP sitting in the C-suite where you are, you've taken on the gargantuan task of maybe shifting your culture or creating the conditions for a high-performing company culture. And so that's what I try to address.
Gotcha. So shifting culture. Okay.
Or creating a high-performing company culture, which it really is a leadership. It's a question of leadership, right? So everything rises and falls on leadership, borrowing the quote from the great John Maxwell. And so, we need to address, if you're addressing high performance, and I deal with improving people systems, the link is that if you improve your people systems and you have a high performing culture, that's going to lead to all the other KPIs, all of the other data that you're looking for, right? That's going to increase productivity, profitability, customer retention, things like that.
Absolutely. So what are the common mistakes that decision makers make when they're trying to shift a culture or create that high performing culture?
I would say a lot of companies that I come in as a coach, and once I assess what's really going on, I find that so many are keeping the workplace a transactional, top-down model of management that really goes back to 100 years, right? But we're in a different age. So I think that one of the common mistakes is not understanding that we are in 2025 going, I don't know when this will be actually going live, maybe 2026 now, that people value different things than they did 20, 30, 50 years ago, right? My parents' generation valued many different things that are the Gen Zers coming up don't put as much worth on. And one of the things that people value these days is belonging. And they want to feel like they belong to a community of work where people share values, where there is meaning and purpose in the work that they do. So that creates immediate impact when leadership can shift from a top-down to a bottom-up style of managing, when you are looking after the empowerment and the growth of your people. And, if you attach meaning and purpose to the work that they are doing, it's going to create more energy, more engagement. There's that buzz term, right? Engagement. Everybody's talking about employee engagement. Well, you want high employee engagement? Help your employees understand the why behind what they do. Attach it to the mission, attach it to the vision. And lastly, this generation is seeking leaders who care about their mental health, their well-being. And so that's a very different a case study than we saw 20, 30, 50 years ago. I think that when you don't create the conditions necessary for human beings to flourish, Timothy, your business is never going to reach its full potential.
Yeah, well said. And I definitely see that. If we try to unpack that a little bit, like practically, how would let's say I'm listening and I recognize the relevance of this and I see the need to change, but I'm just, I'm not sure how to do that. How would I begin today or this week to start helping the people that I lead see that why of their work and see the meaning and purpose there?
Well, one of the things that we teach in our courses and coaching programs is to share your leadership. And so that requires leaders to not hold on to control, but release control and speak into the lives of their employees about and ask for input on decision making. This is very counterintuitive if you come from the traditional top-down command and control style, because you don't need, in your mind, you don't think you need to come to your employees for input. Well, we're finding that employees will probably have just as much information, if not knowledge, than the immediate manager, because they are on the front lines. So they should be very well aware of the business. And so one of the things we teach is that share your leadership, share your decision-making, allow employees to have a voice and provide input. Now, that's not saying that you're giving up your power. You're still very much in control, but again, it's a bottom-up approach, right? To how you now lead your troops.
Yeah, and I imagine. I mean, when I hear kind of the over reliance or just the reliance on that top down approach and not asking for input, I mean, to me, one of the big things that comes up is that's leading from a place of fear.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's leading from a place of fear, and it's leading from a place of not trusting your people to do the work. You hired them for a reason. Let them exercise their God-given talents. Let them exercise their brains, right? To make decisions, to own their work. But that requires the manager to step away, step off the sort of the ivory tower, if you will. Choose your metaphor, your high horse, and allow people a chance to have a voice, and allow people to just express their creativity and best ideas.
So what are some mistakes that you see people making when if they like what you're teaching here and they try to implement it? What are some common pitfalls or mistakes when they're trying to create that high performing culture and let go of control and share their leadership?
So many, we can take so many different angles here. I'm thinking off the top of my head is the lack of authenticity. We're in a world where transparency is in demand, because transparency leads to trust. And so if you really are going to take this journey towards a bottom-up approach of leading, of empowering your workers, you're going to have to share information, share resources. You're going to have to make sure that people have what it takes to succeed, right? You're going to remove obstacles from their path. There's a little bit of compassion there, isn't there? To remove obstacles from people's path so that they are set up for success. We don't think about these things in a traditional transactional leadership sense. We hire, we pay you, you do the work. But it's, again, I go back to the beginning, we're in a different world. And today's workforce, they have very, very different needs.
So perhaps part of it is just not realizing that the world has shifted.
Yeah. Yeah, that takes a little bit of self-awareness maybe, and kind of admitting to yourself there are things that I have to unlearn, things that I'm still hanging on to that I think is still truth for me, but the world has changed and continues to evolve. People change, so we need to stop hanging on to these relics of the industrial age about what leadership should be and should act like. And yeah, so you're right. It's a shift into a sort of a new mindset, right? And the first step for me is to unlearn what you have learned. I'll let your listeners and your viewers figure that out on their own. What is it that you need to unlearn, right?
Yeah, and I think, in my experience, that's, if anybody's still on board, they're probably likely to think, except on the best of days, wow, that I like that idea, but that sounds hard, or it's getting a little out there, like maybe a little woo woo. I mean, Marcel, what's at stake if they're not willing to lead with a sense of authenticity and be vulnerable and embrace this bottom up approach?
Yeah,
What's at stake?
everything that we teach and coach on has to have business outcomes. It has to have results at the end. At the end of the day, week, year, right? So none of this stuff is pie in the sky, soft and fuzzy, and this will never work for me. Well, it will, because you have to attach it to results. And so the idea is, if you're going to be a believer in a bottom up approach, or if you want to call it servant leadership, if you want to be a believer, you have to understand that what the science has been saying for 40, 50, 60 years is going to hold up in your organization, but you have to have the right leaders in place. And if you're not getting results through a bottom up approach, then you need to reevaluate your whole strategy. Something is missing. And so you need, you need to really look at your systems, your processes, and your hiring strategy. How are you promoting? How are you managing performance, et cetera? Because if you have a bottom up approach and you are serving the needs of others, setting them up for success, people are growing, they're learning, they're engaged, it's going to create business impact. If it's not, you need to go back and figure out, okay, what are we missing here?
Yeah. Yeah. Something's wrong with the execution, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I love it. So Marcel, do you have any free resources or guides that can help with this, take it a little further?
I have the best place to get all that is my Substack, and I'll read out the link for that. So just if you go to Substack, or if you want to type into your browser my full name, marcelschwantes.substack.com, and then just subscribe for free, and you'll get long form articles. And if you want to bump that up to a paid subscription for $8 a month, I give you full guides, leadership guides, implementation strategies on building up a company culture, the employee experience, engagement issues. Everything's evidence-based. So yeah, you have your choice, the free or the paid version, but that's really where everything I put out that I have shared with clients globally, that's where you'll find everything. marcelschwantes.substack.com.
I love it. And we'll also put that in the show notes. So Marcel, here's the last, trick question I sometimes throw at people I bring here.
You got to throw a curveball at me, right?
Oh, sorry?
Throw a curveball at me.
Throw a curveball. Yeah, you seem like you can handle it. What's the one question I should have asked you that would have been in great value, in addition to what we talked about?
I think that it would be, what does it really take to succeed as a leader? Because, there are 1,001 leadership books. You do a Google search on leadership, you're going to get 120 million results. So what does it come down to? Well, I'll boil it down to both best practice and the science. Okay. To be an effective everyday leader, you have to serve the needs of others. And that's very counterintuitive for a lot of people. So when you start to think of your people ahead of your own needs, there's the counterintuitive part, right? Most of us are individualistic in the day and age that we live in this society on the West. It's all about me, right? Well, to really, really shine as a leader, you put the focus and the spotlight on the people that work for you. And when you do that, they will run through walls for you. And that's going to make a big business impact.
I love it. Valuable advice. Marcel, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Good to talk with you.